So today we're going to be doing the last unit, which is ecology. So we can get started with, I have a starter question for you guys. So starter, look at the picture and then tell me which of the 4 words on the left here match up to the picture. Wait, let me get my pointer. Is this my pointer or is this my pointer? Boop. Hey Alexander. This session's being recorded. Oh wait, no. If I say it in the chat, people won't see. Okay, this session's being recorded, and we're gonna be doing the last unit, which is ecology. So yeah, I'll give you guys a minute to think about it, or not a minute, like a few seconds to think about it, and then if anyone wants to answer, turn on your mic and let me know what you think. Which of these words matches up to this picture?
Ecosystem.
Ecosystem. Why do you say ecosystem?
Because it can't be organism because there's more than one organism. It can't be a community because there's more than one different type of organism. No, it's because
Is that?
yeah, it can't be population because of that either. An ecosystem involves everything, like all the different organisms, plants, and yeah.
It has like the environment in there too.
Yeah. So it has this sun here, right?
Yeah.
Which, like, the sun isn't a living thing. Like, these are living things. The sun's not a living thing. But, like, this sunlight, so the light, or I guess, like, sun isn't a perfect example. I don't know, I kind of just put it here, but, like, kind of anything that isn't a living thing that's involved. Sun isn't a perfect example. I should have had, like, maybe, like, rain, or I guess the soil. Oh, well, that doesn't work with the light. Okay. This wasn't, now that I think about this, I could have done this picture better. But yeah, so this soil here, I guess, like, would be an example of a non-living component of the ecosystem, so the, like, surrounding environment for the organisms, which, like, also contributes to, like, so the non-living thing. So, like, let's say, like, there was water here, like, then that water would also be, like, contributing to these organisms' survival. Like, so the non-living things are also part of the ecosystem, like, they're also required. The ecosystem is just like all of the living and non-living things that are, like, functioning together, sort of. Do you remember what the words were for the living parts and the non-living parts of an ecosystem?
Biotic and abiotic.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, let's have them up here. Wait, yeah, that was the answer. And then abiotic and biotic. So everything except ecosystem, like these other words, are they gonna have both abiotic and biotic factors?
Just biotic.
Yeah, just biotic. Yeah, perfect. So I deleted the sun, but pretend I also deleted the soil. Somehow, maybe I'll scribble on it. Blue here. The color of the background. Yeah. So not, like, maybe not the living things in the soil, but just the soil itself. If I remove that, what do I have now on the left here?
Community?
Yeah, community, perfect. So what's the difference between a community and, so we already know an organism is just one. What's the difference between a community and a population?
The population is just one species. It's the group of one species. The community is like all the different living things in a area.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So community is the different species that are, like, dependent on each other, and, like, kind of think of a community as, like, if you draw a food chain, what's going to be there? Or I guess, like, yeah, it is really, like, all of the different species in the ecosystem. So yeah, that is the difference between, so a community can be different species. So if you have a question where it's different types of organisms, then you know it's a community. But if it's only one type of organism, that's how you know it's a population. Yeah. So this is maybe a bit obvious now, but
Population.
yeah, population, perfect. Okay, so what's the difference then between a population and a species? Which is bigger, do you think? Population or species? Are you guys able to hear?
Or species?
Yeah, population or species. Like if I were to say if I were to talk about a species versus a population, which is a bigger group?
A species?
Species, yeah. Oh, you were answering. Oh, sorry, yeah. So why do you say that?
Because a species would include, like, for example, if we're talking about rabbits, it would include all the rabbits in the entire world, whereas in the community it would just involve that one area.
Yeah, in a population, it would just be the rabbits in one particular region, like
Yeah.
one particular location. Yeah, perfect. And species means all of the rabbits that exist.
Yeah.
Perfect. So then this last one.
Organism.
Yeah, organism. Yeah, perfect. So yeah, so we're gonna start off with a few questions on biomes, and I was gonna start with terrestrial biomes. So how are terrestrial biomes defined? Like when we divide up the regions, what are we thinking about there?
I know that the certain like plant species has to do with it. It's like the
Yeah, perfect.
vegetation.
Yeah. So the types of plants that are found matters. Anything else that comes to mind? Think of like kind of the climate maybe.
Temperature and precipitation.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, actually I have it written up, so I'll just precipitation and temperature, and then also types of plants that are found there, or how they're defined. I would say the second one maybe more so matters. Yeah. So if I were to give you guys a map, let's say that this was like a just a map of the Earth, what would be like some of the things that you would use to decide, if I had it like divided up into regions, and you were trying to deduce which were the different biomes, how would you go about doing that? So we can think of maybe, so we want these things to vary. Let me get my pointer. These things to vary. So from a map, what would cause these things to vary?
Let's just do
Being farther away from the equator.
Yeah, exactly. So what's that called? How far away you are from the equator, or I guess also from the like North and South Pole as well, right? Like how far up or down you are.
Yeah.
The latitude.
Yeah, perfect. So the latitude, and then anything else?
The longitude.
Not so much the longitude, but something else to do with, so let's say I gave you a map where you could see like how high the land is in different areas, or I kind of just, yeah, elevation.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. So does anyone want to explain why these two things matter? So let's take latitude. What's the major thing that's changing as you change latitude?
the seasons change more.
Yeah, so it's like as you near the equator, what's happening there?
It's hotter.
Yeah, so
Sometimes
the
more humid.
temperature goes up. So this is more to do with the temperature. Well, why am I drawing it when I have a text tool? Oh well. What about the elevation then? What's the main thing that's changing?
Like the
Temperature is
actual.
also changing, but like, yeah. Think of it in terms of, yeah. So what happens when you're like, if you're at, what's part of the reason why it's difficult to climb like Mount Everest, for example? Like what happens when you're actually like getting higher up?
Oxygen levels? No.
Yeah, so there's a different air pressure, right?
Yeah,
The air
the
pressure gets lower. So I guess like you can think of that in terms of, so precipitation will be affected by your elevation, I guess. The temperature is also affected, but like not in a consistent way, I would say. That's not how you spell. Okay, pretend I spelled the word correctly. Precipitation. Yeah, so latitude and elevation. Well done. So this is one of the new. It is the new biome that is been kind of been termed. So we have like the 7 original biomes that maybe you learned like in geography class or something at some point, but here's this 8th biome that's been introduced. So what is it? Like, why is it this new biome that's been introduced?
It's like human formed, so wouldn't that be like
Yeah.
inner city or something?
Yeah, perfect. So like anthro means like to do with humans, and then genic is kind of like genesis, so like being made. I don't know if that helps remember it. But yeah, so it's man-made biome, so that's like what the new term is for. Yeah. So moving on to aquatic biomes. Why is it so Dr. Nelson was saying like a lot of fish that you find in the deeper parts of the ocean are red. So why is that?
It has to do with photic levels. So like red light can't penetrate that deep, so those animals are like essentially invisible.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So we have like so this is like a little ocean here. And we have like these different wavelengths of light coming in, and so then there's certain wavelengths that are able to go deeper. So like the blue light is able to go deeper than the red light. It's not going to go necessarily all the way to the bottom, but like it just goes further. So that means that like so in this region, if you're supposed to be red, but the wait. Yeah, if you're supposed to be red. Wait, is that right? Oh yeah, no, that is right. Okay, if you're supposed to be red, you're supposed to reflect the red light. But if the red light's not hitting you in the first place, you're gonna reflect nothing. So you're not gonna be visible. You're gonna be like, there's just nothing coming off you. You're gonna be like black. So that's gonna give you some camouflage. Yeah. So you said this word. You said photic. What does photic and aphotic mean? What are the photic and aphotic regions?
Um, uh, where photosynthesis is possible and where it isn't. So it's like where the plants grow versus where they don't.
Yeah, so what's going to determine whether it's possible?
Depth.
Yeah, and why is that? Like, what is it that's not available, and where is it possible and where is it not? So,
It's like possible in the shallow regions and not in the deeper ones, right?
yeah, so in the photic or the aphotic, it's possible.
Photic is possible and aphotic is not.
Yeah, perfect. So what is it that you have in the photic that you don't have in the aphotic? Maybe think of the like phot, this prefix.
Photons?
Yeah. So what are photons? Starts with an L.
Light?
Yeah, so yeah, like basically where the light is no longer penetrating would be the aphotic. So I would say this is like a little unclear because there are these extra like light rays that kind of seem to go all the way down, but like roughly there-ish maybe is the photic and the aphotic. I'm not really sure because of this extra light, but yeah, we can pretend. Yeah, perfect. So moving on to population ecology. What are the factors that affect the size of the population? So let's say I'm gonna draw a little country here, and there are people here. So let me draw little people. Oop. There are little people. So what's gonna happen in this country that affects how many people there are?
The ratio of the birth and death rate and the
Yeah.
immigration and immigration rate.
Yeah, perfect. So if we have people coming in, so people immigrating in, then that's gonna increase or decrease the size. This may be obvious, but what's it gonna do to the population size?
Increase it.
Yeah, so that will increase. And then if we have people leaving, going somewhere else, is that gonna increase or decrease the population size? What'd you say?
Decrease.
So then if we have like a new person being born, increase or decrease? That's a
Increase.
baby. Increase. And then we have someone dying. Death. Elimination. Increase or decrease?
Decrease.
Yeah, decrease. So yeah, those are the 4 possible things. You can either like, someone is like appearing there, someone is disappearing there, someone is entering, or someone is exiting. Those are the 4 things that can happen to a population. Yeah. Oh, I don't know why it moved up, sorry, but yeah. Okay. So what is the difference between this word that we've heard before? Maybe think of when we've heard it before, and then this word that's been introduced in population ecology. Does anyone remember another time in the course we've heard this term?
I know that we were talking about it when we were talking about like seed dispersal in plants.
Yeah, perfect. So seed dispersal. What does seed dispersal mean?
It's like how far it moves, like after, kind of like after reproduction. So in terms of like the population, it would be how far an individual like would end up from where they started.
Yeah, perfect. So we have these little baby plants, which are the seeds, sort of, and then not really baby plants, but yeah, kind of, because they're gonna get seed dispersed, sort of. They're gonna move away somewhere, and then a new plant's gonna grow somewhere else. That's called seed dispersal. Is like that new plant is gonna be further away from the parent, or how far away does it get from the parent depends on this seed dispersal. So dispersal is about how far away the kid is gonna end up from the parent. You can also think of it in terms of like moving away from home, maybe. I don't know. It's like dispersal. So what is dispersion? I'll give you a clue. It's related to the term like population density.
So it's like the spread in between,
Yeah.
like in species.
Yeah, perfect. So maybe let's think of, so then that sounds like, so how are they gonna be related then, like dispersal and dispersion? Does anyone want to give a stab at explaining? So I'm going to show you the different types of dispersion, and maybe we can think about how dispersal would influence these different types. So if we think about seed dispersal, what's the purpose of that usually?
To spread the baby plants.
Yeah. What's a word that starts with C that they're trying to...
Competition, yeah.
Yeah, competition. So if there's a lot of competition, are we gonna have more of this sort of thing going on, or more of this sort of thing going on? So are there gonna be more, some of them gonna be spread out, or I don't know, actually. That's not that direct of an answer. The argument can be made both ways, I guess. Or let's try to explain. So if they're clumped groups of organisms here, like why is no one living out here? Like, why might that be?
They're clumped around the resources, like available resources.
So there's stuff here that they need, like, I'm gonna draw a cupcake. That's supposed to be a cupcake. Yeah, so there's like, that's a slice of cake. There's like stuff here that you need, and you can't find it out here. So then everyone's kind of like rushing to the places where you can find the stuff that you need. So it's like if you had like a classroom and there were like worksheets on this table, worksheets on this table, and this table, this table, this table, but nowhere else. Everyone would be clumping around those tables trying to get to the worksheets. What about this? So if it's random, why would it be random? There's no pattern there.
There might be even distribution of whatever resource they need and not a whole lot of strong competition.
Yeah, I guess. So even distribution of resources and not a lot of competition. Yeah.
I just know that the uniform dispersion is from like strong competition, so.
Yeah. To be honest, these two are kind of tricky because so the random one is like, if it is randomized, then there must be something random going on. So maybe like the way, so that there has to be something random about the way that the organisms decide like where to go. So yeah, if there's, I guess that makes sense. If there's even distribution of resources, they can go anywhere, right? And if there's not a lot of competition, here's the part where it gets tricky. If there's not a lot of competition, why would they leave the parents? So why wouldn't they just like end up wherever the parents were?
So
I
that they
don't know,
can
maybe
find
that could be.
mates that are less related.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So there's not competition, but they need genetic variation, so it ends up random. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. What about another example? That's good that you came up with a new example than the one from class. That's good. That it shows that you're like able to think more critically about it, which is great. That's actually probably a good test question. Is like not the example from class, but a different example, and you have to identify which it would be. The example that I was thinking of was the one from class about so I'll give you two examples and then you tell me which of these two is going to be random and uniform. So one of them is dandelions. So
Random,
dandelion dispersal, yeah. Why would that be random?
because they use the wind.
Yeah. You can think of it also in terms of like, if you blow on a dandelion, you decide where the seeds are going to be planted, but like you're not really thinking when you blow, right? So it's like dandelion seeds, the way that they're dispersed is going to lead to something random. What about yeah, so you said earlier if there's a lot of competition it ends up uniform. So why would that be?
There can be like territoriality.
Yeah. So here it kind of looks like they're all marking out their own, like, I need this space, you need this space, and they're kind of trying to stay as far away from each other as possible. But they're not like, they're kind of like good to go with a lot of the space. Like they're not clumping together for resources as much as they're trying to stay away from each other. So it looks like competition is like the big factor there. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. So when we talk about growth, we know this like kind of like this like idea of like exponential growth is like the natural way things grow, but in reality they're not really growing exactly exponentially. And why would that be? So let's think of like if this curve kept going up, what's going to happen eventually?
They hit their capacity.
Yeah, so they're gonna hit a point where they can't like go past that point, because then that's kind of ridiculous. Like, you can't be just going to infinity. You're not gonna go to infinity. And why wouldn't you go to infinity? What's stopping you from going to infinity?
Resources would eventually be depleted.
Yeah, exactly. So there are resources that are going to, what's the verb starts with an L? Or maybe another word for like the reason why is like two words. One starts with L, one starts with F. It's gonna level off here because of things that limit. So things that limit are called,
Limiting factors.
yeah, limiting factors. Perfect. And then what's it called? The maximum amount of organisms that are possible. So the maximum population size that is possible is called it's two words, starts with C. C.
Carrying capacity.
Yeah, perfect. So there are limiting factors that prevent it from growing exponentially because it puts that cap on it, and the cap is called an example is food supply, and then that cap is called the carrying capacity. So moving on to behavioral ecology. Innate versus learned behavior. So this is a longer exercise, so I'm not sure how to use the tool where I put you guys in groups. So maybe we'll just like all do this together. If everyone who's in the session would be comfortable with it, could you guys all turn on your mics, and then we're gonna have a discussion about this question because it's a longer question. Does everyone have their mics on? How do you tell? I'm not sure if Christina's been able to hear us this whole time, but hopefully. Okay. So do you guys want to start brainstorming? So does anyone, just to start off with, you guys remember the difference between an innate and a learned behavior?
Yeah.
So okay. Okay, perfect. Christina, would you be comfortable turning on your mic? It's fine if she's not. Okay. So what does it kind of sound like? So if it's a learned behavior, okay, sorry. If it's a learned behavior, what does it sound like you need to do in order to gain the behavior?
You have to learn it.
Yeah, perfect. That's exactly what it is. So you have to learn it. So you don't already do it, you have to learn it. So it's kind of like, think of what's something that we're learning right now.
Bio.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Bio. So if we're learning it, we didn't already know it. This wasn't already something that we knew. So let's think of a different example. Maybe
Walking.
something you do as a hobby. Yeah, sure, yeah. Or I don't know. Think of something that you might learn in music class or in gym class.
Singing.
Yeah.
Dancing.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe like a particular dance, like it would be something that you're not born doing, but you learn it. So before you learn it, you're not already doing it. What about an innate behavior?
Swallowing.
Yeah, perfect. So innate behaviors are things that you kind of do reflexively, like you just do it. Like,
Grabbing things.
so, yeah, maybe, yeah. How about this? Do you need to learn? So the first time you touch like a really hot surface, I'm gonna try to draw a hand. Does someone need to tell you, like, if you're touching a hot surface and your hand starts burning, do you just keep your hand there until someone tells you to take your hand off?
No.
No. What do you do?
No. Take it off right away.
Yeah, you take it off right away because that's an innate behavior. Is like when you feel pain, you move your hand away. So that's an innate versus a learned behavior. Innate is like you're gonna do it anyway, and then learned is like you only do it if someone told you to do it. So like your parents told you to take your hand off, and then you learned eventually that you're supposed to take your hand off. So let's do another example. Are you guys familiar with like Pavlov and Pavlov's dogs?
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to
What?
draw dogs. We're gonna do an example with Pavlov's dogs. How does a dog nose look like? You guys, these are supposed to be dogs. So
Alright.
anyone who's familiar with Pavlov's experiments on dogs, tell us what they were about.
He rang the bell whenever he was going to feed them, so the dogs associated the bell with being fed. So whenever they heard the bell go, they would start to salivate.
Yeah. So before, let's think of so I'm hearing there's something to do with food and something to do with a bell. We draw a bell. That's supposed to be a bell. And then something to do with drooling, so like salivating. So someone else other than Mia, because she already knows a lot about this, tell me when a dog smells food, what do they do?
They salivate.
Yeah, so they start like drooling to get those like digestive enzymes in the mouth ready to start eating. So do you think that that's an innate or a learned behavior?
Innate.
Yeah, innate. So the first time that a dog smells food, they're not gonna make their mouth salivate, like they just do that on command. What about, so now we take away the food. We've been ringing the bell with the food, and now we take away the food, and we just have the bell. And the dog is drooling because it started to drool like with the bell instead of just with food. So now it drools without the food, just with the bell. What about that type of drooling, if it's drooling with the bell?
That
What
is
type of
learned.
behavior? Yeah, that's a learned behavior. So it started to learn that bell means food,
He has
means
successfully
drool.
been.
Yeah. So that's maybe an example of an experiment to teach a behavior. Let's think about if we wanted to test. So we had a dog. Let's say we didn't know that dogs drooled with food. Like we just had some dogs, maybe some adult dogs that drool both with food and with bells. So what can we do? Let's say that this is neither is like a behavior that we're able to make them stop learning. Like they just do both.
It's habitual.
Yeah, they're both like habits now, but how do we test which one is innate and which one is learned? If we have like, let's say we had two adult dogs. We had one female dog and one male dog. They both drool at the food and at the bell. I can't draw dogs. Okay, just pretend they're dogs. They both drool at the food and at the bell, and we want to know which behavior is innate and which is learned. What can we do?
If you took away the bell or the food, would you be able to tell?
So they've learned it such that just the bell by itself makes them drool. So it's one female dog and one male dog, both adults. How do you draw a Venus symbol? Never mind. I just give up on my drawings. You guys know what I said. Is anyone else like hearing the collaborate ultra noise over and over again?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that, you guys. I thought it was just me. I don't know how to turn it off, and it's been really annoying. I'm sorry, it must be annoying you guys.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. How about this? So we have two parents that are amazing dancers, and we want to know if they're just born knowing how to dance like that, or if they learned it. And these parents, they're currently like they're having a kid together, and the kid is like about to be born. Once it's born, what do you think we might be able to do?
Well, we could check if the kid knows how to dance like that already, or if he has to learn it from his parents.
Yeah. So would we expect the fetus to already, not fetus, sorry, the newborn to already dance, or would we have to
No.
give it a while to see if it's able to dance?
We have to give it a while.
Yeah. What would be the problem of letting it grow up in that household? This is gonna sound cool, but what would be the problem with that? This is a hypothetical experiment.
The baby would have to see the parents dancing.
Yeah, like if it's seeing the parents dancing, what's the problem with that? What makes that a bad experiment if we're trying to see if it's innate or learned and it's seeing the parents dancing?
Because then it would kind of know, and like it would start trying it out like by itself.
Yeah, so what does that mean then? So we're trying to dance, we're not trying to dance. We're trying to test the baby to see if the baby dances really well. So if it turned out to dance really well, and someone was like, "Oh, it's innate." What's the argument against that? Oh, it's innate because the parents had it and now the baby has it. What's the argument against that?
The parents
But
could have, like, so if the baby saw the parents dancing, it is like visually learning,
Yeah, exactly.
it's like
It's
influencing.
then yeah. So then that doesn't so that's a bad experiment because we can't tell if it was innate because it looked like it was learning it. Like or not look like there's a possibility that it might have learned it if it saw the parents doing it. So what would we have to do to the kid to test to make a fair like test if it's innate or learned?
isolate the kid.
Yeah. So we isolate the kid, and then what are the two possible results? Can it dance? I mean, with respect to dancing.
It can either dance or it cannot dance.
Yeah, so it's either dancing or not dancing. And then what do the two experiment results mean? So not dance or dance.
If it's an innate behavior or a learned behavior.
So which one's innate and which one's learned for the experiment results?
If the
Oh,
baby
perfect. You
can't
guys are.
dance, then it would be
Yeah.
learned, yeah.
Yeah,
And if the
perfect.
baby can, it's innate.
Yeah. So anyone want to explain that? So why is it still dancing and why is it not dancing if it's learned? Maybe think of the source of each type of behavior, like what needs to happen in order for the behavior to be done. So what did it, so if it's not, or okay, so an innate behavior, when is that gonna occur? Like, why is it that we always see the innate behavior, but we don't always see the learned behavior?
We
Innate
not.
happens and then you have to do.
What did you say?
For innate, it just happens, and learned behavior, you have to do it.
Yeah, exactly. So who has to do it? Like someone has to teach, right? In order
Yeah,
for you to learn. So if
yeah,
there's no one teaching you, you're not going to learn it, you're not going to do it. But innate behaviors, they just happen. So when you're born, you're already going to have that innate behavior built in. And it's going to happen eventually. Yeah, perfect. So then let's generalize the experiment. So what would we have to do? Like if we start out with 2 parents, what would we have to do to find out if a behavior is innate or learned?
Isolate the child from the parents.
Yeah. So step 1 is like breed the child, I guess. Make kid. And then step 2, oh, it's weird formatting. Okay, ignore that. Step 2 is isolate kid. And then step 3 would be, anyone want to give me step 3?
Once they're able to dance,
Yeah.
test to
So
see if they can dance.
yeah, so we test to look for the, what are we looking for then? In terms of the words in the question?
We're
If
testing to
dance.
see. Oh,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
okay. We're testing to see if they're like whether or not they can dance is innate or learned.
Yeah, so we're looking for the, starts with the B. Like we're looking to see if they do the,
Behavior.
yeah, behavior. And then if they do the behavior, oh, you know what that says, sorry. So if they do it, and if they don't do it, those are the 2 possible options. If they do it, is it innate or learned?
It's innate if they
Yeah,
do it.
and if they don't do it, it's learned. Perfect. So does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.
Yeah.
So then let's go back to the example with the 2 dogs. What would we do? Which is kind of cruel, but just for the sake of,
Remove the food.
breed them.
yeah, breed them, step 1. Step 2,
Then you would take the puppy, keep it, and see if it salivates to food and the bell
yeah,
separately.
yeah. So you guys predict then, what would the results of the experiment be? Would it salivate to the food?
Yes.
Yeah. And to the bell?
No.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so last question, I believe. What is the difference between kinesis and taxis? So those are the 2 types of movement that we see in animals. And yeah, so what is the difference between them?
Taxis, a directional response.
Yeah.
Versus kinesis, is that a random response?
So it's not random because there has to be like some purpose there. So this is directional, so I'm gonna put like, or maybe you guys are doing physics, right? So I'm gonna put this little symbol to make it a vector. It's a directional response. Kinesis, so I'm gonna give you an example of each. So taxis is like, let's say an organism were looking for water. Taxis would be like it senses where, or not looking for water, it looks for food. So it smells the food and then it goes chasing after the food. That's taxis. Kinesis would be the organism doesn't have food, so it's just going to start running around until it gets to somewhere with food, and then when it gets somewhere with food, it's going to slow down, it's going to stop even and eat. Not quite stop, slow down and eat. Water is a better example with kinesis. Kinesis, let's think like an organism is like scuttling around in the dry areas until it finds water, and then it slows down and just moves around soaking up that water. So what's it changing there? Is it going in a particular direction? Is just... So this one's harder to understand, but okay, we're gonna draw a region. And then these little circles are like where the water is. My pointer is gonna be the organism. So around the circles, in the big circle, it's dry, and the little circles, it's wet. And I want water. So I'm gonna move around really quickly, and then when I get here, I'm gonna slow down. Randomly moving, and then once I get to the dry area, I'm gonna move around really quickly, and I get to the wet area, I'm gonna slow down. What does that do? How does that help me? Does anyone want to take a stab at it? Firstly, what am I changing if I'm slowing down here and then I'm speeding up here? Am I changing my direction, or what am I doing?
You're changing your speed.
Yeah, so speed is all what kinesis is about. And then how does it help me to speed up here and slow down there?
You stay in the water for a longer duration than on land.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. That's brilliant. Yeah, that's exactly it. And that was tricky, so well done. Like, if you're in the dry area and you're moving around really quickly, it's going to get you to water faster. But if you slow down in the water, it keeps you there for longer. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, brilliant. That was tricky, so, like, well done. That was really good. Yeah, you guys are, yeah. So the way that I like to remember that is taxis is like taxi. Taxi is getting you somewhere, direction. You're going somewhere specific in mind. You have to have somewhere specific in mind if you get in a taxi. You have to tell them, and then they get you there. Kinesis is to do with speed. So the equation for kinetic energy is dependent on speed. So kinesis, the direction, right, the velocity doesn't matter if you're squaring it, if it's positive or negative. It's a scalar quantity. I don't know, this is very physicsy. I don't know if this helps you guys, but it helped me. So kinesis is like kinetic, so to do with speed. Is that helpful? Probably
Yeah.
not. Hopefully the taxi is helpful. And then kinetic. Just remember that. So we don't have a lot of space here. I'm gonna move back one slide for the what went well and what to do next time. And I'm just gonna go like splash some water on my face and get some water because I'm starting to feel a bit. Yeah, sorry you guys, I've been like not doing that well today. This is my smiley face. What went well? And this is what to do. There's not a lot of space, but maybe you guys can type it using the text tool instead of writing it out, and then maybe that makes it smaller. You can also like type it elsewhere on this side of the page if you want. Yeah, I'm gonna just go get some water and wash up. Sorry. I'll be back.
Is there even another session after this? Do you guys
I don't
know?
think so because the exam is on Saturday next week.
Yeah.
I think on Friday or 2 days from now. I have it on my schedule somewhere.
Yesterday was the last lecture, right?
Tuesday was.
Yeah.
Is it right? Sorry, my bad.
Um, check. On Friday or Thursday and Friday, they have 2 SL sessions this week at 2 to 3:30 again.
Well, they might change it. I don't know. If they have exam review, then they'll have to cancel both and then do one big one.
Yeah, do you think there's gonna be like an exam review?
I'd hope so, but I'm not too sure that the SL people would be able to.
Mm-hmm.
Lightly touch over trees and phylums. I like that. Yeah. What did I want to say? Oh, about the exam review. So Tyson and I are trying to figure it out, and it's a little difficult to schedule. Because I know there's like an Easter break thing for the next few days. So, yeah, I'm just not sure when you guys wanna, cause it's next Friday is your exam?
Saturday.
Oh, Saturday. That's fun. Okay, but I guess you guys aren't doing anything anyway, self-isolating over the weekend. Yeah. When do you guys think? Maybe everyone write down like a preferred date or preferred range of dates for the final review. And then maybe I'll ask on Canvas as well before we've finalized anything. Yeah, thank you. Whoever. Yeah, next Friday maybe? Yeah, maybe. I do have an exam on Friday, but
I
my
also
exam
have an
is...
exam on
Oh,
Friday,
okay. Mm,
but I'm sure most people will be having exams like all throughout next week.
yeah,
So
that's tricky, yeah. Because, yeah, that's when my exam is in the evening. That's what I was thinking, but...
Oh, okay.
Free
But-
Wednesday.
that would work for me. But
Everyone who's here, are you okay with Wednesday?
If it's afternoon, yeah, because I have an
Okay,
exam in the
Wednesday
morning.
afternoon.
Or
Oh,
yeah,
no.
anytime afternoon.
Wednesday. Do you have any other exams that week?
Just a bio
Okay.
after.
Mm. So we're thinking maybe Wednesday afternoon. Anyone else have any other suggestions?
Oh wait, sorry. I recommend Wednesday evening, not afternoon. I can
Okay,
afternoon.
evening. Ignore afternoon. Just to let you guys know, I'm like, I've been like going through something, and actually like Wednesday might be a volatile date, but like there's not really a perfect date because like actually next week is gonna be a little bit volatile anyway. Um, I'm sure Tyson could take over if I have like a little struggle throughout that evening, but yeah, I'm just letting you know, like I'm not sure when the perfect day would be for me, but I'm just gonna be like going through something next week. So yeah, this is just like a pre-apology because I know I'm gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna try to hold it together for the session, but just letting you know that like that might not happen, if that's okay. Was I recording? Yeah, I was. Okay. Yeah. So sorry guys. Yeah. That's it for today, I think. Nice, we ended early. Yeah, good luck everyone. You're gonna do great, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. I sound so sorry. I'm just like, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, you guys are gonna be... I mean, today I had like some pretty tricky like exam style questions where you have to think critically, and you're all able to do that great. Yeah, I'm proud of you guys. It's been a great experience. And like, thank you for being so understanding of like today has just been... Sorry, I've been like a mess. And thank you for being understanding of that. I'll try. Thank you. Oh, you can hear it. I'm fine. I'm fine. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, good luck for your exam. You're gonna be... Good luck for all of your exams. Just, I know that like, also with respect to exams, the transition online is gonna make that like such a difficult and like new experience, and just like make sure you take care of yourselves these next few weeks. Yeah, just like do whatever. Yeah, if you guys ever need anything, like we're here, just message us on Canvas, and yeah, we'll try our best. And yeah, sorry, I'm being so bad at talking right now. Yeah. Sorry.
you don't have to apologize.
Thank you. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, there's just been like something happening in my personal life, and it's been like stressful. Sorry. Okay. Yeah,
You don't
sorry.
have to apologize. Like we
Okay.
care about you, and we hope that
Thank you.
whatever it is that's going on, it's unfortunate timing that exams are coming up, but like prioritize yourself. Like we will be
Thank you.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you will be. You don't really need us. We're just here as props.
We appreciate
Thank
you,
you.
bro.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jenna. I hope you feel
No,
better soon.
no problem. Thank you. Thank you guys for having so many people here today, like for joining. And like letting us end on a good note, despite me being a mess. Like having like some collaboration going today. That was great. Yep. Oh, thank you. Love you too. Yeah. Okay, I should stop recording now. This isn't relevant anymore. But yeah, I just want to say good luck, and we're gonna figure it out and get back to you about the final review. Yeah, that's it for the recording. Okay, good luck.
Thank